Ladies and gentlemen, the Raiders are wrapping up day 4 of training camp. We have some good news and some bad news. We'll start with the good news. The defense is looking hot. Things are trending up in terms of the secondary. Plus, we may have a running back who could be a fantasy sleeper on this team. But for some reason, we have conflicting reports on how Jimmy Garoppolo is doing at quarterback. Some people think he's balling out, and some people think he needs to work on that deep ball. And Max Crosby has been balling out at training camp, of course, and he's even locking down Davante Adams in coverage. We're going to break all this down and talk about how the Raiders are doing so far. Could they be a sleeper team, or are they looking towards the future? Let's break it all down right here, right now. So we have NFL rumors that Josh Jacobs has been falling down fantasy football draft boards due to the uncertainty of him playing in 2023. And we cover this almost all the time. All the comments he's making about the Raiders. The guy is not happy at all. We know, and he's probably not going to play at this point. But in the meantime, the Raiders have a running back in Zamir White who's been waiting for his opportunity, did not get many carries last year, and this year he looks bigger, a noticeable difference in the weight room, and we know he's a violent style of runner. That's Zamir White's game. So we're going to see this dude really pop off and shine next week when the pads go on. But if Josh Jacobs does not want to play, I think Zamir White is going to be able to be a factor for the Raiders. He was coming off an injury in college at Georgia. He was able to get a lot of rest last year and get to 100%. And now he's entering this season healthy, already having a year of NFL experience under his belt, sitting behind one of the best running backs in the NFL in Josh Jacobs. So if you're a little worried about Josh Jacobs in fantasy, I think you need to call Zamir White. And it was great to see Max Crosby with his family in front of the fans at training camp and his daughter. This guy's going to try to build off of next year and have an amazing season. And it's crazy to think how far Mad Max has come, being a late round pick in 2019, and now he is the star of this football team, and he's actually the rock star of this football team. We know the fans love saying hi to Jimmy Garoppolo, but with Max Crosby, these fans were lining up, going absolutely insane, stoked to get this man's autograph as he becomes one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL. And we even have Max Crosby lining up against Davante Adams in coverage at training camp. Gonna lock this guy down. Perhaps Max Crosby could be helpful in the cornerback room if we do need the guy. And it seems like the secondary is trending upwards. We know Nate Hobbs has been out because of the softball he took to the face, but he is expected to be back soon. And when you add him to the mix with Marcus Peters, with Brandon Faison, and all this cornerback depth they have behind them, this could quite possibly be one of the best secondaries we've had in a while. We haven't had a great secondary. We've had injury problems to players like Trayvon Mullen. Last year, it was Rock Yassin on a one-year deal. He had injury problems. And on top of that, in the past, the Raiders had cornerbacks like Damon Arnett who got into loads of trouble. So now that we have all these guys healthy and some players who've proven it at the highest level like Marcus Peters, this could be really one of the better secondaries that the Raiders have had in such a long time. And you have Robert Spillane, the new linebacker. This guy's sort of a question mark. He got a bigger opportunity with the Steelers last year. Now he's getting an even larger opportunity with the Raiders, and he said the defense has been improving in terms of turnovers.
Our effort to the ball, our effort attacking the ball at the finish has been already, we're raising that standard.
And what we like about Robert Spillane is this guy has one of the biggest necks in the entire NFL. Let's hope that could help him and Divine Diablo solidify this linebacker room. The NFL Network was at Raiders training camp talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo did not participate in practice in day 3. He was not on the field. It was a predetermined day off. We're going to get into more of that in just a little bit and what Josh McDaniels had to say about it. And Jimmy G is now back from his day off. He had his day off in day 3, and now he's back out there. But here's what they had to say about him and how it's different when he's on the field.
It's a noticeable difference with him on the field. The crispness with which they come out of the huddle, the command that he has, the presence on the football field that Jimmy Garoppolo has, it is a big difference.
It is a big difference. So the fact that he's there, they're saying the offense is running more smoothly. We heard things from Hunter Renfrow that Aiden O'Connell looked nice and accurate, but perhaps Hunter Renfrow was just being being nice, and maybe it really is that bad when Jimmy G is not there, which is a little alarming because it shows that they do not have a solid backup plan behind him, but it also shows that this guy is doing well when he is able to be there. And you have them talking about the backups right now.
A lot of incompletions yesterday, a lot of drop balls on air, which you're not supposed to see, Steve, as you well know, at this time of the season.
So apparently it was looking pretty bad with Brian freaking Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell yesterday when Jimmy G was on his predetermined day off. And apparently the day off really helped Jimmy G get back to form. According to Levi Edwards, the rest day did Jimmy Garoppolo some good. He was dealing so far after having that day off. But on the flip side, you have Vic Tafer of The Athletic talking about Garoppolo, saying the long ball is not there for Garoppolo, but it's early and he is shaking off some rust. So we know Jimmy G's problems. He has the injury issues and he throws it pretty short and oftentimes throws little screens and pitches to running backs in San Francisco. And his main issue has always been no long ball game, which is kind of unfortunate because you have Devontae Adams and that's part of his game, especially on that sideline. And then you also have rookie Aiden O'Connell being a little erratic, but it is early. It is early. These guys can get better with more reps. But then you have Grant Cohn, a 49ers beat reporter, who, to be honest, has always been more favorable to Trey Lance than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's kind of laughing at the Raiders right now, saying the narrator says it wasn't the rust. Maybe it wasn't the rust, and that's not the reason why Jimmy G doesn't have the good long ball. Maybe he's just never had the great long ball. That's what Grant Cohn is implying here. And this is an issue with Jimmy. PFF has noted this. Jimmy G actually has the highest yards per attempt in 0 graded throws. What the hell does that mean? 0 graded throws are easy as hell throws. They're screen passes, check downs, passes that PFF does not grade because they're so easy you don't want to have them be a part of the grading equation. And Jimmy G has the most yards per attempt with those types of throws. That means he's gaining most of his yards on check downs, on screen passes, which makes sense when rolling with the San Francisco 49ers because they pretty much use Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey as 2 running backs in the short passing game. And Brock Purdy has those same numbers as Jimmy Garoppolo, the 0 graded throws. So this proves that Jimmy G has a lot to prove in terms of his deep ball game. He hasn't done it in San Francisco. Will he do it in Vegas? But Jimmy G is back and practicing after taking the predetermined day off. It's a little weird though how this day off thing is shaking out, but it's good to see him out there able to do all the reps, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he does next week, especially when the pads go on. But I did think Josh McDaniels gave an odd response. He was asked about Jimmy G's days off. He definitely just tried to downplay it, which is fair. But another interesting thing that happened is when he was asked specifically, are Jimmy G's days off predetermined by the doctor, or is this something that you just decide based on how Jimmy's feeling each day? And this is important to know because we have to know, is this just Jimmy G following instructions from the doctor, playing it safe, or is he actually hurt? Is he actually in pain and saying, hey, I need to take today off? And Josh McDaniels refused to answer this question at all, and he could not give a straight answer.
Schedule is planned, like how much of the schedule is pre-planned through camp and how much is just how he feels each day?
You're talking about just Jimmy? Oh, I mean, there's a definite plan of, we know what days we're out there. We know what days, we have minutes restrictions basically by the league, so today's 2 hours, Monday's, 105 minutes, et cetera, et cetera. So we kind of know what it is based on the calendar. And so there's going to be, like I said, a number of players are going through the same process. So, we just kind of, work it as it goes. And again, the player's health and body will tell us if we need to make any adjustments with any of those things.
So he tries to lump Jimmy G's situation in with all the other players. He even talks about the league rules in terms of practice reps for all players, which has nothing to do with the question. He did not answer the question, so we don't know. We don't know if it's Jimmy G in pain, waking up and has an issue, or if these predetermined days off, which are going to continue to happen throughout training camp, if this is all just the doctor's recommendation. If McDaniels really wanted to clear the air, he could have just said, so far, we haven't had a predetermined day off that's based on Jimmy G's feelings in the morning. It's all just been predetermined by doctors, but he couldn't say that. So to me, that's a little alarming, especially given the fact that you have these NFL Network reports that are saying the backup quarterbacks are doing badly and Jimmy Garoppolo is really doing well when he is there, and it's a noticeable difference. We really need this guy, and we really need to know, Is he 100%? It is all happening right now. We're going to see the scrimmages next week. The preseason games are 2 weeks away. In 15 days, we are going to see the first preseason game with the Raiders, and we will be going live during every Raiders game on this channel, so make sure you check that out. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.